We'll now end with the last two, Sheriff Kevin Torgerson and Sandy Melville.
Mr. Chair and committee members, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Torgerson with the Olmstead County Sheriff's Office in Rochester, Minnesota. I'm currently in my second term as sheriff and 39th year in law enforcement, all here in Minnesota. I'm here today representing the 87 sheriffs in the state, as well as the Olmstead County Sheriff's Office. The 87 sheriffs are unanimously opposed to legalized marijuana in the state of Minnesota. I'm also aware that our Minnesota County Attorneys Association is opposed to Senate File 619. In addition to that, locally, our Public Health Department and our Community Services Department is very concerned about legalized marijuana. Minnesota Public Safety, including Minnesota State Patrol, Sheriff's Office, and local police departments have worked in conjunction with the Department of Public Safety over the last 15 years through a program known as TZD, Toward Zero Deaths. The TZD effort brings education, emergency medical and trauma services, enforcement, and engineering, the 4 E's, and courts and you, the legislators, together to bring traffic deaths from a high of 655 in 2003 to a low of 358 in 2017. Our goal is to continue bringing the numbers of deaths lower every year. In our county, we have had quarterly meetings where our highway engineers at all levels, our public health department and law enforcement, meet to review fatality and serious injury crashes. We have had very frank conversations how to improve our roads, focus on education efforts, and enforce the current laws to continue to saving lives. During this legislative session, you are also discussing the efforts to pass laws to stem the tide of distracted driving in our state. Changing behaviors of our drivers is a difficult task, as you all know. During the discussion of legalizing marijuana, you have naturally looked to our colleagues in other states as well as research readily available. The biggest challenge for law enforcement and public safety with legalizing marijuana is the potential for more drug drivers on our roads. More drug drivers on our roads is very difficult to manage. Currently, Minnesota agencies have trained DREs, drug recognition experts, in their agencies. This is not as easy as a prospective DRE officer must spend several weeks in training away from their agencies, which is paid by the state and federal funds. Approximately $2,000 initially and $400 annually to keep them trained, plus the per diem. The per diem must be covered by individual agencies. Our agencies, all agencies, do not have the same amount of cash and availability to support this type of training. What is at risk? AAA has, and other research indicates 10 to 30 minutes after the last puff or inhale of marijuana, the average person feels the peak effects. 2 to 5 hours after the length of time a person is acutely impaired after ingesting marijuana. And 2 or more weeks after the last ingestion of marijuana, the driver can still have THC detected in their system. I'll try to finish up here. You undoubtedly have heard the research showing that a person's brain is not fully developed until their middle 20s. Hence, the push for T21. The same issue is at hand with marijuana. Granted, it is not intended, but senators, I'm here to tell you today, our schools, our kids are feeling the pressure. Our kids are hearing that marijuana is safer, when you know the research tells us the opposite. I'd like to remind you that the work you have done with medical marijuana is commendable. Please continue to the work and the research. I leave you with this. What kind of state of Minnesota do we want? A safe Minnesota? Your law enforcement professionals are warning that legalizing marijuana is not a step for a safer Minnesota. We will not reach our goal of towards zero deaths with legal marijuana. Please don't pass this legislation this year, next year, or at any time in the future. The consequences intended this year, next year, are difficult. Please do not change. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. The next and final